Hi guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. Today's video is going to be about predicting the fashion trends for 2024. I'm excited for this. I love doing the research for this. Catwalks, seeing what people are already wearing, listening to other influencers and YouTubers talk about their predictions. Yeah, so I think we just go for it. I think we start with quite an obvious one that's just going to carry over from this year, which is ballet flats, but more like the Miu Miu aesthetic. Their runway show was all about, sort of what I took away from it was like tights and stockings. I feel like that's the real micro trend here that's not been that big yet, but is going to get much bigger in 2024. Obviously in the earlier months while it's cold in the US and the UK. I think this is a really cute trend. I'm excited. I've bought myself some like long thick woolen socks. I've bought some burgundy tights. I've bought into this trend because I do think like it's one you can carry on. And you've seen it everywhere on the runways. And obviously a lot of people bought into the ballet flats sort of trend that's been happening this year, and I think this is a nice continuation of that. You can wear them with ballet flats, so I think we're not going to see this whole like ballet core vibe immediately go in 2024. People are going to be sticking to it, I think, for the first couple of months at least, since everybody bought into it. You're not going to immediately chuck it out your wardrobe. I guess it kind of hints at like more of an overall theme, which is just preppy is back in. Like, I feel like we've gone the last year of being really like girly girl, you know, what would you call it, like fairy core vibes. I think that's what they're saying on TikTok. I don't know, I'm not that good at seeing trends on TikTok, to be honest. But you know, like puffy skirts and all of this like sort of really girly sort of vibe. I think we're going to transition into more of a preppy look. A lot of the late stage trends that we've seen this 2023 have hinted at that. A lot of the catwalk trends we've seen for SS24 have hinted at that sort of preppy, ready to work, go to school, sort of girl boss it. I feel like that's the kind of trend. I know in Emma Chamberlain's podcast episode she did on fashion predictions for 2024, she mentioned specifically Abercrombie vibe coming back. And I really hope she's wrong, but I do see it. Really fits into like the preppy look. She mentioned sort of lower rise jeans, which are definitely coming back, and polo shirts is what she mentioned. And I really don't like this whole like Abercrombie trend look, really. When I was growing up, it was a really big trend, and I feel like I completely saturated it. And now I'm just, you know, completely repulsed by it because it reminds me of my, you know, awkward teenage years. So I really hope it's not coming back, and I really hope the sort of polo trend that she mentioned is actually hinting at my next trend prediction more, which is rugby being the next sort of sport that everyone's interested in. So Emma also mentioned the fact that she thinks that, you know, another sport is going to be big this year, and she was trying to figure out what she thought that might be. I can't remember where she landed, but I think she maybe said tennis. I don't think she did land on tennis. Let me know if you know what she landed on. But I think it's going to be rugby, because there's a couple of reasons why. Rugby had a really big year this past year for like the World Cup and everything, but we didn't really see it in fashion because football was also having a massive year and everyone was obsessed with football shirts and all of that. And I think because it got overshadowed, it's kind of like in the back of everyone's mind is rugby, but they've not like explored it properly yet. So I feel like that could come out. And also a lot of menswear brands were doing rugby shirts. I feel like that really came out. Like Uniqlo, I know, was doing them. I think Zara was doing a little bit of them, but I feel like I saw them when my boyfriend and I were shopping for him. So I feel like girls are going to be stealing boyfriends' rugby shirts, and it's just going to become like another sort of really quick trend like football shirts did, that everyone sort of can steal from someone they know, whether it's your dad, your boyfriend, your brother, and just immediately like high fashion it. I think probably the way people are going to be doing this the most is pairing it with unexpected bottoms like they did with football shirts. So we saw a lot of like really floaty maxi skirts and stuff paired with football shirts in the summer, and I can really see that for rugby shirts. Obviously they're quite similar, but that neckline is so nice. But on the catwalk I have seen some really nice ways of styling it, which I'm probably going to be stealing more, which is like this one of like a really oversized rugby shirt, really oversized, like XL, and then some like knee-high or thigh-high boots she's got. It just looks so gorgeous to me. And I kind of think it also is hinting at the other sort of sports trend that I think is going to be not like counter-trending, but more just like a sort of side dish to rugby, you know what I mean? I feel like it's going to be a side dish, and that's going to be equestrian. So obviously not like full-on equestrian, like joggers and a riding hat, you know, going down to Sainsbury's or whatever, but more like that sort of tighter fit that you get with horse riding. So I think it's going to be a lot more subtle references for this. When it comes to equestrian, I mean, this photo I'm referencing, she's got some kind of like horseshoe horse emblem. But I still look at it and I see rugby. So maybe like there's just going to be a bit of a random connection here, or maybe like people are going to be wearing riding boots again. Like boots are always trending, I feel, but like a real riding boot might come back into style again. People have them from like a few years ago when they were in style, and yeah, I feel like that might come back. Or, you know, just sort of, I'll put some reference photos of what I'm thinking, but, you know, just kind of like hinting at the riding equestrian style without directly referencing it. And also rugby, I think, is going to be directly referenced with, you know, t-shirts. Probably not like, you know, the rugby long socks or whatever else is their uniform, but I feel like rugby shirts definitely is going to be a big thing. I know I'm going to be buying into it. So another sort of video I watched to prepare for my video was Lainey Ozark's predictions, and I really recommend watching this if you haven't yet. I also recommend listening to Emma's podcast. But Lainey spoke about like the shift dress coming back into style. I think she referenced quite a lot of runway photos of this, and I think, while I agree, I'm gonna go one step further and say just the 60s vibe is coming back. I don't think it's quite come back yet. I think we've seen little hints of it everywhere, but I think it's going to come back in a big way in 2024. Like we saw, obviously Priscilla is coming out. A lot of people are excited about this, particularly fashion Twitter. So I think we're going to be seeing a lot of like beauty and hair references to Priscilla. You know, that gorgeous like cat eye that's very like twiggy, very like heavy eyeliner. And I think maybe like some references to the beehive or whatever it's called. But you know, like flower emblems and that sort of, I think we're going to see a little bit of that because people got excited with hairstyles this year with bows and stuff. And I feel like transitioning to 60s sort of hairstyles is not going to be that much of a stretch. So yeah, I think we're going to see that. But on the runways especially, we saw lots of 60s influences at, say, like Tory Burch with these sort of collars. I'd say was the most 60s for me, these sort of standout collars. And again at Outzora, is that how you pronounce it? I think so, Outzora, they had a lot of Peter Pan collars. So maybe it's going to be like, you know, the 60s collar that comes back as the like big part of the trend. I don't know, but I think we're going to be seeing a lot of 60s references and maybe toned down. Maybe you're not going to be doing like a beehive that's half the size of your head or whatever. But again, this could be one for like subtle references. I think a lot of 60s silhouettes like the shift dress or the collars or, you know, like little retro touches are going to come back. So maybe not in like, you know, we're going to all be dressing like we've just walked out of Priscilla, but it's going to be there if you know where to look. My next prediction is in contrast to the one above, and I love that. I feel like we have that every year. There's always two kind of trends which clash. So like last summer you had the rise of the biker jacket, but you also had the rise of like what would you call it, like fairy core, whatever it was, with like the puffy dresses and, you know, long hemlines and flowing hemlines and stuff. Those two trends opposed, but people put them together and it looked really good. I love that. So I feel like this year there's going to be like sort of the 60s, really like kind of feminine and fun, sort of like shift dress on one side, and then on the other side is recession core. And hear me out, I think it would be so easy for me to say like, oh, ballet flats are going to be going out of style within 6 months of 2024. Like I said before, I think they're going to come in a little bit to this first start of 2024 because people bought into it. But by summer, there's going to be a new trending shoe. And that would be so easy for me to say, ballet shoes are out. But I think there's more of an underlying issue of we're just getting a bit more serious. You know, the recession is hitting in so many parts of the world, cost of living crisis, climate change. It's a known fact that people use their wardrobes to reflect what's happening in society at the time. I think we're going to see a 180 of like the girly girl trends that have, you know, been around recently. There's so many of them, but they all kind of group into girly girl, soft, feminine. I think we're going to see a 180. I think we're going to go back to really kind of masculine silhouettes and motifs and, you know, colours, sort of darker colours. So like as soon as we had the rise of red this year, we had the rise of burgundy, and that was just a darker colour. It's safer, it goes longer. And, you know, that's not a bad thing at all. I think it's just showing this sort of hesitance to buy into fun fashion trends at a time when people don't really have the money to be spending frivolously. And always you're going to have like people rebelling against that, which I think is where the rise of like the 60s is coming from. But I think you have to have, like, I think that's just a reaction to what people are really going for, which is recession core. I don't know, I'm not a trend predictor. This is just more, you know, my interpretations of what's happening on the runway and why. But yeah, I think we're going to see really masculine motifs. We saw a lot of, you know, sharp cut blazers on the runway. A lot of, you know, slicked back hair has been trending for a while, but that did not go away on the runway for spring summer. It just feels very like no nonsense businessy in a lot of runway shows. And I think that might bleed out to, you know, what we're seeing street style, TikTok, that sort of stuff. I don't know, I could be wrong with this one, because fashion is always surprising, and I think people will use it as an escape for the real world. But if we're hedging our bets just based on what designers are sort of going for, then it's looking like things are going to be getting a little bit more serious in 2024. My last one feels like it goes against what I just said, but that's okay. It's kind of interesting. I feel like it kind of could work together, but it's kind of just like shorter hemlines, like cinched waist, you know, less tops, less fabric and stuff. Everything feels really like buttoned up and cinched on the runway. And I think maybe this is, you know, the 180 of what we've been seeing trending recently that I've referenced so many times in this video, like the long flowing silhouettes that we've seen on TikTok and stuff, like people pairing a big baggy football shirt with a big baggy white skirt or whatever. I feel like we're going to be seeing a 180 of that this year, and it's all going to be very buttoned and short and no nonsense. And I guess it does feed into the masculine sort of feeling, but it kind of feels also like a trend on its own. Do you see what I mean? Like the Kylie Jenner of her in her underwear, I feel like it was the beginning of this, and like, I don't know, it's just kind of, it makes sense in my mind. Like, I think it's already been around a little bit. Kylie Jenner kind of did, you know, signal the start of this, but I think it's gonna just get more and more extreme and more commonplace. You know, shorter headlines, shorter skirts, like long flowiness has been around for too long now, and people almost immediately gravitate towards the opposite just for like shock value. So yeah, we'll see, but I guess this is what I'm thinking is going to happen in the next year, and I'm excited for it. I know that Pantone's 2024 colour is peach fuzz, and I hate that. I really, really hate that. I haven't really thought about what colours I think are going to be trending, but I just can't really see the adoption of peach fuzz. I know I'm not going to be wearing it. I don't think it's flattering at all. So I guess maybe we're going to see like a rise of peach fuzz in shoes and accessories more, or maybe we're going to be seeing some like tonal differences, like maybe go for a bit of a darker sort of dusty rose. Is that kind of a darker peach fuzz? You know what I mean? I'll put like a little colour wheel or something, but darker tones which feel more safe, which feel more universal. I don't really agree with the peach fuzz trend, but let me know if you like it. Let me know if you agree with any of these predictions or if I've got them completely wrong. It's always interesting to hear what you think. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for clicking on this video out of all the videos on here, and I will see you soon. Have a happy new year. Bye.